Hello everyone, this is Rebecca from Papeterie de Choix, and welcome to Tag Along Tuesday. I've got a little bit different project today. I don't know what it's different from, but it's different. Take my word for it. Okay, so what we have is just a little, I guess folder of sorts, that has a string closure and a little wind around, and then I've got it tied in a knot that I hope I can get it out of. I might have tied it too tight, and that's the wrong one. I need this one. Yeah, I need not tie it so tight next time. So I took a piece of jute, you know how it's wound, it's like a 3-ply, and I took two of them out. I don't know if I like this. I might end up changing it. Anyway, I just run it through, and then on the inside is this little tiny pocket, and then 2 tags on the inside that as you can see, that's all like a matching set. It's got craft paper on the back. Well, this has craft paper on the inside. I don't know if you can see that in there. And then this is just got craft paper. Now let me tell you what the idea is, and tell you, oh, and these have just little bitty brads through the hole, just more for decoration than anything else. So let me tell you where I got this idea and then what I actually used to do it. So let me get my piece of paper. It's actually 3 pieces of paper, and I was going to do 2 more, and I sat down getting my files ready for Thursday's project and lost track of time. So I actually don't have time to do another one other than the project. Not without staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning. I really don't want to do that. So there's that one, and there's that one, and this is the one I'm going to do in the project coming up. So what these are and what this was, these are, have you ever seen the small sample packs of sample fabric, upholstery, curtain material, that sort of thing? And usually at the back it'll have a picture of whatever that piece of fabric is for. Well, that's what these 3 are, and they were off of one pack, and then this was off of a different pack, but that's what they all are. And so they were rather thick paper. They had a backing on them that was almost like freezer paper when you iron it on. It was almost felt waterproof. But anyway, I glued a piece of, this is craft paper, wrapping paper, just glued it to it. I'm going to trim around the edges. Now this is a curtain, or a pretend curtain, with the fabric, and I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to do it the same way that I did this one. We'll see. So the idea for this part, I was looking through Pinterest to see you know, something different that I could do for tonight's project. This was last week, and I had found something that I wanted to do. So last night I was looking at it again to see, okay, how do exactly I need to put this together, and realized that the tag holder was made from a toilet paper roll. Well, I don't have toilet paper rolls except that has toilet paper on it, and I'm not about to empty it, and I really don't want to use that. So this I made roughly the size as a toilet paper roll flattened. That's my interpretation. And then made a couple of tags to fit inside of it. So this is a non-toilet paper roll project. Hope you got all that. So, let me get my materials together and we'll get started and see how this turns out. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is cut these corners to make it a little bit easier to go down through the trimmer. Just easier for me to line up. Now, these, like I was saying, is they're kind of a heavy paper, almost like a really heavy magazine page, almost could be a magazine cover thickness. And so it was also shiny, so I had some Mod Podge, actually the brand, not the knockoff that I usually use, and I just painted some matte over it, and it didn't knock all the shine back, but it knocked a lot of it back. And the other thing too is it also gave it a texture, which is fine, but it also made it almost, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but the feel of it is so much better than it was. So I'm going to now the paper has got a curl to it because of the difference in the fibers of the paper, but it doesn't stay that way. Let's see. Especially after I cut it down. So what I'm doing is just lining up my little corners in the middle of my cutting line, just to get me that smooth edge, because I just laid it on. It's not like 100% straight on the paper. You know, when you when you take wrapping paper, take a piece off the roll, it always wants to curl back up, and that's part of what this is. So, and the reason I chose this one particular is I like the color combos in this one. It has a very vintage look. Okay, now in the other one, I cut across here and at 4.5 inches. No, I'm sorry, 5 inches, and because I used a 1/2 inch to fold up to make the pocket underneath. So I'm going to do that same thing. I think this will give it a unique look. We'll see what happens. So let's go this way. So 5 inches right there. And that's going to leave me, you know, my other paper was taller, so I think what I'm going to do is use this side and use this one for the tags, because I want them to stick out the top a little bit. So I use my scoreboard as a measuring tool sometimes. So this is 8.5, and I need it to be 4.25 in order to give me that 2 inches. So if I cut this way, I can get my, double check myself, because I tend to make boo-boos sometimes if I'm not paying attention, or if something else has my attention. Okay. Okay, I think that's all the cutting I need to do right this minute. So if you want to make one the same as me, then you'll make it ever how tall you want it. But I'm doing mine at 4 1/4. And what I'm going to be doing is scoring. You need to score it 1/4 inch. It don't matter which side you score on. That's why I was looking at this. Which side do I want to show more? And I'm going to put my score line on this side. So either score at 1/4 inch or at the 4 inch mark, whichever one that you want, depending on what you have on the front. So there's 1/4, and then flip it so that the top is to your left. At least that's what I did. And score it at 4, or score it 1/2 inch in, whatever your length is. Score it 1/2 inch in. So in this case, it will be 4. And then turn it back around right side up and then score it at 2. I suppose I could have done it all the other way, but I'm doing it in the process of elimination in my brain. Scary thought, ain't it? Okay, so now get my little scissors. Now, I want the front to be the part that has the little 1/4 inch score on it. So that's also the part that needs to have the lip on it at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, let me show you how I did this to make it so I knew I was getting equal amounts. So first I cut off that little part there, and then just miter this corner here. Now this part needs to come off altogether, and it needs to be outside the score line. So when you cut this off, the score line needs to come with what you've cut off. So just cut right at the very top of the score line there and there. Now these need to be mitered, but because it's going to show on the outside, I want them to be equal. Move this a little bit. So I'm going to press this down really tightly, push this over, press that down really tightly. And the reason is I want it to then fit inside my corner punch. It won't fit inside with the flaps out. And I'm using the biggest one and going in like that and going down my shirt. And then that way you know that your little corners are equal. Or at least they should be. Alright, so the next thing I'll be doing is gluing the little side down. Now, I cannot use the iron on these because this top has a layer of the Mod Podge on it, so it just will peel right off with the hot iron. So these will have to dry with the bulldog clips. So that's the first order of business here, is to, and because the paper's quite thick, I'm using the bulldog clips to just hold everything in place for a few minutes. And I'm making sure I'm getting the ones. I bought some new ones the other day. Yeah, that's like weak. So I want them that's really strong so that it's going to press that down really tight. And that one's not one. That one's not the best. That's a good one. I'm going to go up here to the end, move all these up a touch, and I can go ahead and glue this part. By the time you fold this over and get the two layers together like that, it is roughly the thickness of a toilet paper roll pressed flat. Now I'm not inking these, although I probably ought to because you can see the white. I did ink the other one, but on this it don't really take it, so I didn't really do it a whole lot. So I'm just gonna, if I can stay out of the glue, I'll be fine. I'm just gonna ink that white edge there, and then I'll go back and ink the rest of it shortly. Okay. Oh wow, that one's really tight. I think that's the one I just had. Yep, there we go. I'm going to turn that around and put that that way. And it might actually be good enough now, but alright, so I'm going to let that sit for just a minute, and while I do that, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to cut it into 1 3/4 inch strips, because the little pocket is 2 inches wide and I want it to fit in there really smoothly. So I'm going to do a couple. 2's what I put in the other one. So we'll start with that anyway. So there's one. Yeah. And I might be out of shot slightly. And, well, there we go. And 2. Now, and you can get 2 out of each one, but on the first one I messed up. That's how I know that the iron won't, you can't put the iron on this side. So you can actually get 2. You can make another one. I think so. Which way did it go? This way. Is it 4 1/4? Yes, it is. So you could actually make, with these, you could make another one exactly the same. Now, I did something that I've not done before, but I had a brainstorm. And the way I made the top of these tags, like these, because I wanted them to look sort of old-fashioned, and that seemed to be old-fashioned looking to me. I have this, I used to know what this was called, but I know it's a, it's a label, but I know it has a name, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, what I did was I measured my middle so that I could see exactly where I was, and so half of 1 3/4. I did have that earlier. What was it? This is how I do it when I'm not certain. So half of 1 is a half. Half of half is a half, so that makes it 3/4. So it's going to be 7/8. 7/8. That is the middle. And then this is the top of this one. So I just lined it up and continued my mark. That's close enough. If it's a millimeter off, it's not going to make that much difference. Now, I took that off and got it ready to punch. And what I did was this inside part here is where the blade comes up and meets so that the whole thing cuts, and so I just put the paper just slightly over it, making sure that my pencil mark is in the middle, and I pressed it till it held, and then pop, there we go. So that's how I made the top of that one, or top of these. So it just gives the tag a little bit of an excellent, elegant, my goodness, I can't even talk, elegant look. And for some reason, these big ones, it's hard to punch upside down. They seem to only want to work one way. But you could do this with any punch that, if you wanted to make a shape on the top. And then I took the smallest corner rounder of 4, it says, and just rounded those corners. Okay, now I'm going to put just a little bit of ink around the edge there. And on the back, where it can be seen, the ink don't really stick to the front that much, so I'm not really trying to ink it per se, but if it gets a little on it, then that's fine too. Yeah, this reminds me of the mustache. You probably could make some mustaches with that punch like that, maybe. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is take my little bitty punch. I didn't want to use my little bitty hole punch, and I didn't want to use the big one. This one's right in the middle, so I just lined these up one on top of the other. I already got the middle here, so I just go past it slightly, make sure I stay in line, and then second guess myself. There. So there's that. Now let's put this little doohickey back on. Yes, and doohickey is a real word. Or at least it is where I grew up. Okay, or a whatchamacallit, or a thingamajig. Alright, now let's see how our glue is doing. It's got a little bit of a bend in it, but that will come out a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. Alright. Now, this one. Now again, finding my middle. This one's easy, it's 2 inches. And just lining that pencil mark up with the point on that arrow just a little bit, and there's that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the sides and just see if you probably really can't even tell it that much. that it's not really inked in the traditional sense. Okay. Now, I don't know that I want to do the jute because I didn't like how that turned out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera. Oh, I was going to do ribbon. That's right. So let me pause, get some ribbon that will look good with this, and I will be right back. Okay. I've made a little bit of an executive decision. Since on the first one, some of the paper tore off on me, that's why I made this. But with this one, I have enough to make another one. So I'm not going to make the cover. That wasn't a part of the actual plan. So I'm not going to do one on this. I'm going to keep it just as the original project that I planned for it to be. But what I am going to do is take a couple of pieces. I like how they both look, so I'm going to put them together. And let's do about that much. And then do about that much again. Like so. And these are going to be the ties for the little tags. Now, the other ones I put brads in. Is that right? Brads, yes. Because I had used the jute. I'm not going to use them in these. Mainly because I don't have a color that matches good enough. If I had a color that really went with it, I would use it, but I really don't. Now, I'm just going to tie this in a little knot if it will cooperate with me. I swear I think this ribbon has a mind of its own. So let's pull that one a little snug, that one's snug, and move it so that it's at the top, sorta. I don't know, it's not really doing exactly what I wanted. And I think it's because the ribbon is kind of stiff. That looks a little better. Now, one thing I've seen people just put it through and bring it up here and then tie another one around it. I suppose I could do that, but this is okay with me, like this. Alright, now let's do this one and get it situated. For some reason it's just a habit for me to go through the back side. I have no idea. It's I think if I was going to make the little loop, I think that's why. Okay. Alright. Let's do this one. I am going to only do this one. I think I already explained it's I lost track of time and I don't want to be up super late. I went to North Carolina over the weekend and visited with my daughter, 3 of my grandchildren, and my parents, and I also got to see my sister while I was there, and so my weekend was very draining, but in a good way, and then drive 3 hours back home, and that was yesterday. I came home yesterday, and I'm still kind of jet lagged a little bit, so I am not going to push myself too far, mainly because I don't think I could talk well enough to get through the video the way I'm sounding right now. That's not too bad. I mean, you couldn't ask for a simpler project, so I think these are going to be fake toilet paper roll tag project. How funny. Okay. So, yeah, I don't like this piece of jute. It's coming apart. So I am going to see if this one's any better. And if it is, I'll use it instead. I might need to put a touch of glue on the end of it to get it to go through without shredding. Oh, there we go. Hot dog. There we go. And then we'll just put that little thing right back in there. So this is 2 ways I made one of them. And then instead of tying this, I'm just going to go around it like that and like that and tie it right here. There we go. And it is tied tight enough that it will keep the little tag in. So there we are. I know I usually clean up, but if you could see the mess I have here, it would take a while. So here is the first one with a little booklet, sorta, with a little tag holder, the fake toilet paper tag holder. And then this is the second one. And this is from what essentially would be similar to a magazine cover, the little bit thicker thickness with the kraft paper wrapping paper adhered to the back. So that is Tag Along Tuesday. Hope you enjoy it. Go find you a toilet paper roll or make you one. This works really well. I like this better than if it was the actual one. And it uses up these pictures of fabric that have a very vintage look. So thank you for watching. I will see you in another video very soon.